You're listening to Mr. Credit on San Diego 1700 with local credit expert Derek Evans. Now, live in studio, Mr. Credit.
Welcome to Mr. Credit. We are live and local here in San Diego, bringing you the most important hour in radio, telling you everything they don't want you to know. When I say they, I mean the Wall Street gangsters, the government, the big banks, the credit bureaus, the media, or anybody else who's trying to lie to you to get you to spend your money unwisely or simply take it from your hard-earned pocketbook. Visit MrCreditRadio.com if you want to send me an email or do a Facebook search for Mr. Credit, and you will find me there. Now, in case you weren't able to catch the show yesterday, and I know if you didn't, that you cried all night about it, but if you weren't able to catch it, I did make a prediction yesterday. Brooke, can we bring up Cut 1? I'm telling you, the sun is coming out tonight, and I think the Padres are going to win a close one against the Dodgers in the rubber match downtown Petco Park, 3:35 p.m. So I clearly said that I thought that the Padres would win a very close match against the Dodgers in the rubber match to see who was going to win the series. And, Brooke, do we have the call from last night's game in case anybody missed it? Can we play that cut?
Another 3-2 pitch. Ground ball up the middle, center field, a base hit. Here comes Hairston. He's going to score, and the Padres have won it. Oscar Salazar comes through, and the Padres win it 3-2. Salazar is being
Padres win. The Padres
second.
win. You can take that out, though, Rick. Thank you very much. All right, so bottom of the ninth, last at-bat win for the Padres, 3-2 over the Dodgers, which is, you know, they call me Nostradamus for a reason. I've told you this before. This is why I play these things all the time for you. Now, we've got a 3.5-game lead over San Francisco for the NL West title. The Dodgers are now 7 games back, and, you know, if they get any closer than that, we'll move them back a little bit further by winning some more games. We've got a great team here, guys. Remember, the prediction, the ultimate prediction is that the Padres will make it to the World Series this year, so we'll see if that pans out. Today, I've got a fantastic guest in the studio with me, a good friend of mine, someone who I've been working on big projects with, really a maestro of many traits, someone who understands real estate, finance, the financial marketplace, and actually author of a book, From Bankruptcy to Prosperity, a good friend of mine, Ron Quintero. Ron, thank you for joining us today.
Derek, thank you very much for having me on.
Give you a quick round of applause, my man. Now, this is your first time on the radio?
Yes, it is.
Okay. How are you feeling right now?
You know, I've spoken to audiences of 2,500 and 3,000. I'm a little bit more nervous doing this, and I don't even have to look anybody in the eyeball. So this is a totally different spin. I've got this certain amount of anxiety right now that I'm just dealing with. I'm like, okay, this is different because if the words get out, I can't pull them back. So it's a lot different than doing like a recording or something like that.
Yeah, well, in live presentations, the thing that's neat is that you get to feed off the audience. You can see the reaction. Here, we're kind of like talking to the wall. I mean, we're talking to Brooke, but she's got other stuff she's doing, and so it's you don't get to feel the reaction of the audience, and it is very interesting how that works, which is something that you get used to over time, especially when you do a daily program like we have here on San Diego 1700. Keep in mind, you can catch all the Padres action right here. We are playing in Florida tonight, 7 p.m. So if you can't make it to Florida to see the game, then you can tune in right here to San Diego 1700 and catch all the Padres action right here. But if you're in a situation where you're used to speaking in front of a lot of people, coming on the radio can be very anxious. But you're not just an accomplished speaker, author, and so forth, but marketing guru and all sorts of things. But you're also from San Diego.
Born in Mercy Hospital in 1959. Grew up in the foster care system here in San Diego. 11 wonderful families raised me.
Wow. So you just dated yourself like big time, dude.
No! 51 years old.
Okay. You're obviously not afraid of that, but a young, strapping man. And I must say, you have the best grill I think I've ever seen. I mean, this guy makes Tiger Woods' teeth look like he's like a Halloween jack-o'-lantern or something. I tell you, this guy has got some pearly whites. You could drop a name maybe if you wanted to for somebody who helped you out with that. I don't know.
My dentist. I don't even remember his name.
And a great grill on a man who's got a lot going for himself and a lot going on. And, I wanted to really pick your brain today because we talk a lot about real estate. We talk about finance. I try to drill down for the listeners exactly what's going on in the financial marketplace. They're being lied to a lot. The media's got a lot of bad information out there. There's a lot of these programs going on that are just a joke. We're going to get to that later. But you're born and raised in San Diego. Now you live in Orange County. What were some of the things that you did here in San Diego as far as professionally, personally? What are some of the things you remember or miss?
Well, I started selling real estate back in 1982, 1983. And back then, I remember the first house I ever sold, the buyer went out, got their FHA loan, 16.5% fixed rate, 5.5 points.
Say that again?
16.5% fixed rate, 5.5 points on an FHA loan. Yeah, somebody who's making big bank. And there's a whole different buying decision back then also. But I started selling government repossessed properties, FHA and Veterans Administration owned repos. And after about a year and a half of doing that, myself and my business partner back then, we controlled 28% of the San Diego market. And as our business grew and we transitioned to that, we eventually became the escrow company of choice for handling all the escrows for the liquidation of any repossessions in the way of Fannie Mae, FHA.
So this is in the last down real estate cycle.
No, it was two back.
Two back? Okay.
It was two back. It was actually my first one, which was from 1982 through about 1986, and then 87 it really got hot. Yeah. But I started San Diego County Escrow, San Diego Real Estate Licensing Schools, my own title company, had several Century 21 franchises, my own mortgage company. We had a credit company back then. That's life before automation, actually. and we did everything manually. It's just a whole different way of doing business back then. But our property management company, we had an insurance company. We had 11 different companies at the peak of it with over 500 employees. So we did quite a bit of expansion and growth in about a 3.5 to 4 year window. And then sold everything in 1991 and ended up relocating to Orange County.
Yeah. So as you can see, Ron is no stooge. He knows what he's talking about. So we've now established that, and we can start getting to some of the questions. Now, do you miss San Diego at all?
Love it.
Feel like you're home now?
Chargers all the way.
Yeah, and that started today. Did you see that, by the way, when I left the office?
I'm pumped and anxious at the same time to see what's going to happen. There's been a lot of changes on the team.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I've never been a Norv fan. I was disappointed when they let Marty go.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. The thing is though, when you're coaching the NFL, it's kind of like being a radio personality. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when you're going to. It's inevitable. So, no matter how good you do, the guy was like 14-1 or 14-2, 13-3, and then got the axe. That stuff happens. No big deal. But something that I guess the thing that I wanted to start on with you is just kind of the economy. Give me your 60-second feel of what's really going on. Shoot as straight as an arrow here.
Everybody on Wall Street, everybody on a lot of the big television stations, the financial networks, and so forth. They're of the opinion that we're going to go through a second dip here. Mm-hmm. I believe that's accurate. Okay. And what I say to people is, well, the good news is you already survived the first one, which means you have the staying power for the second one. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be any probably more severe. I don't think we're going to see a dip in real estate values. I think we've seen most of the bloodletting that's going to happen
nationally or in
San Diego.
Okay.
In San Diego, I follow San Diego very closely.
Okay.
But most of the downside of prices coming down happens at the beginning of the cycle. Typical foreclosure cycle lasts between 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then the next cycle that follows at the upswing lasts somewhere between 5 to 7. And there's always this up and down, up and down, up and down. From 1992 to 1997, I negotiated over 500 short sales. And at the same time, did over 3,000 loan modifications. That was back in that marketplace, 92 through 97. So what is relevant in this marketplace and what's happening in the marketplace now, this is just repeating its cycle, but for a lot of people, it's their first experience in going through a downtrend. Yeah, unemployment over 10%, that's pretty big. That's, I've never been in my life.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing statistic. And I really want to talk to you about the book, From Bankruptcy to Prosperity. And one of the things that you bring up, it's tough times, things along those lines. Listen, folks, if you or anyone out there is struggling to make just the minimum payments on your credit cards, or maybe you're just able to afford to make the minimum payments on your credit cards, you probably will have dozens of years before you can get those things paid off. And that's assuming that you're not going to charge them back up as you pay them down. And that's the cycle that folks get in with credit cards. Listen, not only can a Chapter 7 bankruptcy help eliminate all of your credit card debt, but any collections, medical bills, certain judgments or wage garnishments that you might have if they weren't a result of fraud, bad auto leases, there's certain IRS tax debt that you can also remove.